following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Don't adjust your screen. There is nothing wrong. You're about to enter a world where the very concept of time is rendered obsolete by the sheer power of entertainment. You're about to enter the Bogus Hour. The host of the Bogus Hour, Greg Bogus.
Welcome to another episode of the Bogus Hour. This episode, I interview Michael and Michelle Mitchell of Mitchell Comics from New Hampshire, the creators of the hit comic book Zombie Sub 920. And I also interview the executive director of the USS Albacore Submarine Museum, James Craig. Well, welcome to the Bogus Hour, Michael and Michelle Mitchell of Mitchell Comics.
Thank you.
How are you?
Well, thank you.
Great. Well, thanks for coming down. And I'd like to talk to you about your comic books and how you started doing comic books and what you have plans for the future with your comic books. So why don't you tell us about the one that you're working on now, your big baby.
Well, we have a comic book called Zombie Sub 920, and we decided to take the whole idea of zombies and as being the bad guys and turn it on its ear a little bit. We made our comic about good zombies, and it's
which is what in showbiz they call that going against type.
Right, going against type.
Right.
So
very rarely do you hear of good zombies.
Yeah, exactly. So our comic takes place in a dystopian future. There's been an alien invasion of Earth, and the aliens tried to destroy mankind by unleashing this zombie virus, and very nearly did. And the scientists that remained came up with a vaccine that, if given soon enough, would allow them to preserve some of their faculties, although their skin is still atrophied and whatnot. And
so they look like zombies, but they behave
exactly
like people.
Exactly. And so our story takes place as these zombies are fighting off the alien invasion on board the last submarine on Earth.
So how did you end up picking a submarine as a place for your zombies to be traveling around in?
Well, I was... Michelle and I were set up at a comic book show in Portland, Maine, and I was doing a comic that I was not real happy with at that time. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it, and just wanted to do something a little different. And Michelle suggested that we take a break and go see the USS Albacore Museum in Portsmouth, because she knows I like military hardware and stuff like that. And so we went on board and we're walking around, and
the Albacore, of course, is a naval research submarine that's been turned into a museum, and it's parked on the side of Route 1 up there in Portsmouth, right?
Right. And while touring through there, I imagined being one of the 50 crewmen aboard this 200-foot vessel, and the close quarters they had for sleeping and eating underwater, and the only thing that would make that more terrifying would be if you threw in a handful of zombies. So I said to Michael, can you imagine being in here with zombies? That would just be terrifying.
Like snakes on a plane, zombies on a sub.
Right. Exactly. And I said, what would we do? And I could just see the light bulb go off.
And that was the inspiration.
That was the inspiration.
Awesome.
And a few weeks later, he drew the cover of issue number 1.
I went home and drew this. And of course, just fooling around and trying to impress her, I made myself the captain.
Ah, there we go.
I always do the cover first, so it kind of inspires me to do the rest. So I did that, and I said, hey, what do you think with this? And then began to think about it, and I kept the idea of me being the captain on board, and so I ran with it through there, and then decided to make Michelle the nurse on board.
There we go.
So-
Saucy.
So yeah,
Very nice. And so, had you ever been a cartoon before?
I had not. No,
So,
this is my
your first
debut
time being a
in
cartoon is-
comic book. I've been reading comics
on a
since
zombie sub.
I was 4, but now I'm in a
Nice.
comic, so this is nice.
Nice. Well, so that's cool that it was a collaborative effort between the two of you to come up with this idea. So you've had, when was that? How many years ago was that?
that was 2010, I think.
Okay. And so you started to churn out the comic book, and you've had how many, what do you call, you call them issues?
Issues, yeah. We're up to issue number 7, and that's the one featured here. This is our latest issue, which we're very proud of because it has zombie frogmen, battling a dinosaur, underwater dinosaur,
Very nice.
who has the sub in its grip.
And does the dinosaur have a name?
They refer to it as a gorgon, which is a
Oh, yeah.
classic Greek name for any kind of
Right, was
underwater
I think
monster.
of 60s horror movie too, I think,
Yeah.
from England.
Yep. Yep.
So that's the newest episode, newest edition, and you've got some more down the pike. Is there something
Oh,
that
yes,
it
yeah.
keeps on feeding upon itself as
Oh,
yeah.
as things happen? You're like,
Oh,
that
yes.
would be
Yeah.
a great new episode. That would be a great new addition.
Yeah.
A great new.
Yeah. Michelle and I are B-movie and horror sci-fi fans, and so we have a lot of elements like that in our books too. We have swamp monsters. And,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very much artistically, it really has that that feel of pulp and 50s and 60s and
Thank
kinda-
you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's get that really neat
Thank you.
look to it. So you do these they're called signings. That's what you call them when you go sell your books. And so why don't you tell us about where you do some of your signings?
One of the unique things that we've done this year is Michelle came up with a very good marketing idea, which at first I was a little uncertain of because we've traditionally done comic book conventions
Right.
and those types of things, comic book store signings. And she pointed out very cleverly that we're fortunate enough that we live right at the gateway to the Lakes region of New Hampshire. And the Common Man chain has 2 really excellent diners nearby where we live.
Right.
Great place for breakfast.
Great place for breakfast.
I know I've been to the airport diner and I think the Tilton Diner.
Yes, the Tilton Diner was the first one we set
Oh, great.
up at. It was, a matter of fact, we eat breakfast there almost every weekend, and so we knew the waitresses and staff there quite well. As a matter of fact, we put 2 of them into one of our comics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Michelle asked, if we could set up there, and at first I wasn't quite sold on the idea, but she pointed out that, how did you put it?
The tourists come to us.
Right. Sure. I mean,
We live in a-
it's really a heck of a gateway, that neck of the woods there.
Yeah,
Literally.
exit 20 off of 93. It's
And
a
from
gorgeous area.
spring until fall, there's just
Right.
a never-ending
Right.
cavalcade of people, whether it's races, it's lakes, it's
Right.
leaf peeping, it's
Yeah.
swimming, it's all kinds of great stuff up
Just
north.
gorgeous part of the state.
So that sounds neat. And so you do the diner circuit.
Yeah,
Instead
we
of the rubber
actually
chicken
did
circuit, you do the diner circuit.
104 Diner in New Hampton, I believe it is.
Oh yeah, okay, right. I think I know that one. I think I've actually seen that one on my way to Hart's Turkey Farm. In that
Yeah.
neck of the
That's
woods.
right.
Yeah.
Towards Meredith. Yeah.
And we're going to be there for the weekend after Thanksgiving, the Black Friday weekend. or
Oh,
whatever,
great!
yeah, so.
Selling more
Yeah.
comic books.
Yeah.
So have you? Do you have other comic books? I know I saw, and we talked about your UFO comic book.
Yeah. That's something new that we did this year too. We decided we are going to do like a one-off type comic every year. So this year we wanted to do the UFOs over Exeter because we have an interest in UFOs too. There's actually flying saucers in our very first
Sure.
book. But this was a real story, and it has a New Hampshire connection. So
So that's essentially almost like a graphic novel about a historical incident.
Yeah, well,
Right.
so
incident.